Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. Happy Sunday to everybody. I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Tyler Edmonds. Sir, it is good to see you. It's been a little bit.
It's been a
How
minute.
you doing?
I'm good. It's like what we talked about pre-show. I'm good. I'm currently still slightly recovering from 2 weddings yesterday. Not one, Ron, but two weddings. Fun fact, though, the 2 weddings I went to are 2 buddies from work. Congratulations if you're listening, both of you. Just fun fact, both of those guys, and this wasn't planned, got engaged on the same day and married on the same day.
That's wild.
Yeah, but
Was it intentional?
Was not planned at all. Not at all. Like
Wow.
they're nothing. No, like swear.
That's crazy.
But yeah, the crazy thing is, it's like I was telling you earlier. I'm not really hungover. I'm just freaking sore from dancing all freaking day, night long. Like it felt like I did P90X 10 times yesterday. That's how I felt when I woke up this morning. But I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready to talk some ball with the one and only.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your Saturdays, sir. Some weddings. I support that line of thinking. I too am a huge dancer at weddings.
Yes, you are. Well, I don't know about dancing, but I know you are a huge dancer. Yes.
Yes, anybody that's attended Cubby Bear with us after a game has witnessed the hooliganisms of Ron Luce. I'm also good, man. I'm glad you had a good weekend. You know, we smoked some meats on a Saturday here in the Casa de Luz. It was good, man. I no complaints. Got to see some family on both sides and
Nice.
just enjoyed the weekend, man. It was good. We were cranking away on some on tap stuff as always, and we're back. And I feel like this is, dare I say, Tyler, I think this series is okay because it's humbling. And I think humbling is okay in a baseball season, especially when you're playing the best team in the league. So Cubs lose 2-3, obviously, for everybody watching along with us in Detroit. Friday was a hell of a game. Tyler, you said it felt like a playoff game.
It did a little bit. Friday night, minus. Can we stop with the Apple TV bull crap? Jesus. But yeah, Friday night, Skubal versus the Cubs. Yeah, it sort of felt like a playoff matchup. It really did, because you could argue that the Tigers are the best team in baseball, if not one of the best teams in baseball. The Cubs have one of the best teams, or the best records in the National, one of the best teams in the National League. And you know what you've got in Skubal, the reigning AL Cy Young winner. You knew it was going to be a battle, and man, there was good defense Friday night. There was obviously some good pitching. As Nick and Joey talked about on Friday and vented about, there was some, some head scratching stuff, but it felt like a playoff matchup. It did.
It really did. Christopher Cole with a good comment here. He says they just couldn't get the big hit. And Friday's game was that way. And our good friend Will here, Break Even Tom, worst umpires behind home plate he's ever seen, especially I think in relation to today. He is in Detroit. As anybody that's been following along, Will's been all over the place.
Oh yeah, by the way, congratulations. That was his 30 for 30. That was his 30th park. And that's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, that is really cool. Absolutely incredible to be able to say you checked off all 30. That's really, really neat. He said atmosphere was off the chain. He says Ben Brown went toe-to-toe with the best pitcher in baseball. And Tyler, I follow up your point with exactly what's said there and connecting the dots here to get to Ben Brown's performance, because they purposely sat Skubal for that White Sox series to lose to the White Sox 2 out of 3 to make sure he threw against the Cubs on Friday night, because it is 2 of the best teams, statistically speaking, in terms of record in baseball. Certainly, arguably 2 of the best rosters in baseball, given how things have occurred over the course of the beginning of the season. And that could be, and I'm going to say this with kind of, tongue in cheek here because it's way too early, but that's a potential World Series matchup. when
It's
all said.
happened. It's happened before, Ron.
It has. 1945
Yeah.
was the Cubs and the Tigers. So who is to say that we don't see that again? And I think it was, you got kind of that playoff atmosphere in the middle of the season, which I think is great for baseball. You need those big games when the good teams go against each other. You need just that tease of what's to come at the end of the year. But to Will's point, yeah, Scooble, Cy Young, reigning Cy Young, probably going to win it again. Might be the AL MVP with how well he's pitching right now. And yet
He's going to get some votes for sure.
Goes toe to toe with him. It wasn't perfect. We're not saying Ben Brown was on a 2-hit pace, but Scooble's numbers were as follows: 7 2/3, 8 hits, just the 1 earned run though, no walks, 6 Ks. He's like that. How about Ben Brown also going 7 innings, giving up 7 hits, so actually less hits than Scooble did, but just the 2 earned runs. He did walk 1, but he fanned 7. That's the Ben Brown performance he needed to kind of feel like that dude again. Because I think he had kind of times last year where you saw games where you're like, he's unhittable. He's unhittable right now.
Oh, yeah. Just ask the Brewers.
Yeah. And then he got hurt. And it felt like he was still kind of working back maybe a little bit from that, even the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Friday's game was the first time that it felt like, wow, this is the ceiling version or touching that ceiling even of Ben Brown and what he could bring, even as just a 2-pitch pitcher, as a potential 4th or 5th starter for this team going forward. He was spectacular.
Oh, he was. And to go off what you said, if he can continue these outings where we see him in the 6th inning and making an appearance in the 7th inning, the stuff's there, because we know in the past with his he has that possibility of with that high pitch mark, he has that possibility of drawing walks. And so obviously when you have a guy that's making the 6th and the 7th inning appearances, most of the time that stuff's not there when we're talking about high pitches and the walks and stuff like that. And just to see that he only had 1 walk on Friday is just as impressive as well, against an offense again that, maybe you can't name the starting 9 held, and maybe you can't even name 4 of the hitters in the lineup, but they are a really good team, like 1 through 9. And that's even counting Javi Baez, who last year wasn't the Javi Baez that a lot of Cubs fans know, but this year is a completely different guy, a guy that has rejuvenated his career. But Ben Brown, man, if he can continue to do that stuff, when Shota comes back, you may have an issue with who's going to be the 5th starter with Ben Brown throwing well, and another guy that we'll talk about later on in Kate Horton and whoever else. But Friday was great, at least from Ben Brown's pitching performance. It was what you wanted.
Most definitely. But again, just reiterating what Christopher said in the comments, they just couldn't get the big hit, and that's ultimately went into that one. I highly encourage everybody, if you haven't already, go listen back to our Friday night show. Joey and Nick ran it back like old time's sake on a Friday night, talking Cubs baseball after that game in Detroit. And it will be available after this show this evening, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, because it did not get posted with it being the weekend. So those ones are coming out a little bit later. Be sure to check that out as well. But then Saturday comes around, Tyler, and things look really, really good. You got power. 5 home runs, scores all 6 runs. Michael Busch is the only multi-run homer of the day. Solo shots, though, 2 from Suzuki. A 2-run bomb, as we mentioned, from Busch. PCA helps Ron Luce get a dinger point after a long drought.
You did. I forgot about that.
You got 2.
I did. Suzuki. I'm back on the board, and I'm putting up crooked numbers now, Ron. So Nick and Bobby and Joey, you guys up there better look out, because I'm coming for you. I'm probably going to pick the right one tomorrow too. So just be on the lookout, boys.
Just coming in hot. I love it. Just coming in hot. And we also got a Matt Shaw. How
We
good
did.
is that?
That was awesome. That was awesome to see because ever since he's came back, I don't know his numbers right off the top of my head, but I know that he has looked a lot better. Not only in the he's always looked good in the field, but he has looked a lot better at the plate. I know that, and that home run. Detroit's not an easy place to hit a home run either. It's a super park, and I mean, I know it didn't go like all, but like he hit the crap out of that ball, and that was awesome to see. That was great to see.
Absolutely. Again, even with the changes and modifications, right? They brought in the left field fence a little bit, make it a little bit more of a hitter-friendly park than it used to be. But I remember playing at Comerica Park in MLB 2K7. It was a bitch of a ballpark to hit the ball out of.
Between that and like their batter's eye is not the easiest to pick balls up on. It's not.
No, which is another advantage to the pitchers pitching in Comerica and why that ballpark has played that way overall. 107.3 off the bat was that Shaw homer. Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
He got all of it. But they take care of business. Daniel Palencia comes in for 4 outs after Thielbar gets into a little bit of trouble. Jameson Taillon, spectacular yet again.
Yes.
Another quality start, 7 innings. I like when the Chicago media talks shit about a certain player because as soon as it happens, they just want to stick it to them because ever since he's got to be better than that JMO comments, he's been arguably the Cubs' best pitcher.
He has. He's been arguably the most consistent, the most just look like his last. He's had 9. I believe he's had 9 of his 13 outings go at least 6 innings. And I want to say, I'm looking at it right here. 1, 2, 3 go at least 7 innings. And dude, when you're doing that consistently every freaking outing, yeah, he's got what, a 3.54 ERA, which isn't terrible. It's not. It's really not bad at all, especially when you're resting your bullpen. You're taking a lot of stress off the bullpen arms. And like I said, when you're still in the game in the 6th, 7th inning, you're doing like I don't see how anybody, as far as all these other outlets and stuff like that, want to talk crap about Taillon. I mean, the dude is doing everything he can to win you a ball game, especially when you're that deep into a game. Literally almost every single outing he's had.
100%. I mean, he's been spectacular. I just continue to appreciate what Jameson Taillon is doing for the Chicago Cubs right now on a start-to-start basis. And, Tyler, they got okay pitching on Sunday, right? Cade Horton wasn't great, but wasn't horrendous. You brought up a good point. This was really the first true, good team he's seen since that debut against the Mets way back in early May.
Yep.
He ran into some trouble. Riley Green is a great power hitter. He's developed into a really good one up there in Detroit. Gets a piece of him today. Spencer Torkelson, a first overall pick. Those are probably the 2 most dangerous guys on a night in and night out basis in that lineup. And they got
those 2 guys are probably going to be playing in Atlanta in July.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And they have been spectacular. Just to give everybody a taste of what those guys are doing up there, really their 3 through 5 have been just spectacular. Everybody else has been really solid. They don't have a single guy in Sunday's lineup that had lower than a 700 OPS. They're putting together good stuff. There's really no weak links. Nobody's super standing out, but some of these guys are having really, really good seasons. Kerry Carpenter's got an 808 OPS. I think he's one of the many underappreciated players in baseball.
He is. Yeah.
I really like Kerry Carpenter. He's a fantasy baseball must get in most drafts for me. Spencer Torkelson, 842 OPS this season. He's only hitting 237, but the slug is there. And then Riley Green, he's slugging and he's hitting for average 276 average with an 815 OPS. So they got a good group. Some of those guys got to Horton a little bit. And the Cubs, I'll tell you what, Tyler, this was not a great series for the Cubs bats because even though they ran into power on Saturday, Craig Counsell kind of told it how it was, right? He goes, well, we hit a lot of home runs, but they were all solo shots. You're going to be able to win once in a blue moon when you can hit 4 or 5 of them in a day and you get good pitching. But overall in this series, the Cubs really didn't hit that well. And I think it really screamed and echoed on Sunday. You mentioned it. when we were talking, they made Flaherty look like an all-star this year.
They
6
did.
innings, 9 Ks, no runs given up, just 2 hits and 3 walks. He really silenced the Cubs offense, and Cade Horton was just really never able to recover after giving up some early runs.
Yeah, and it's hard, especially for a young guy in Horton, to be pitching, with a 4-0 deficit. It puts a lot of stress on him too, to like, hey, I can't make any more mistakes. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. The umpires suck this weekend, but still, man, Flaherty and I can't stand Flaherty because, this connection with that one team in St. Louis that we, shall not name. But yeah, man, he just carved them up today, and they really didn't give him, at least the bats didn't give him a chance to do anything really. I mean, it really just, as far as offensively, was just a boring offensive game. It really was. I know Dansby I believe he had a double today, and that was the only extra base hit. Is that right?
Sounds about right.
You
are correct. 10th double of the season for Dansby Swanson.
Well, and I will say, Michael Busch is still he had his 9-game hitting streak continue today or something like that, maybe, or did it end today?
Sounds about right. Nope, he had a hit.
I mean, that was nice too, and it's nice to see his bat's coming back. But it's like you said at the beginning of all this. I'm not worried. I'm really not about this series, because I feel like every single game in this series was a winnable game. It really was, because I'm sorry, I'm not bought in on Jack Flaherty. I'm just not. I know he was good. I know he was pretty good at the end of last year, and this year he's been okay. But I just don't look at. And again, he proved me wrong today. It's just I don't see Jack Flaherty on the lineup card and be like, oh God, we're gonna struggle to hit, even though they struggled today. I think they play that series again. It goes differently, but today just. Offensively, it was just really boring. Boring.
It really was. And you know what's crazy is even after today's game, these are some of the offensive numbers this team's working with right now. You got some guys that are cold or that aren't slugging. Ian Happ was 0 for 3 today. His OPS dips below 700, 699. But 899 for Tucker, 881 for Suzuki, 872 for PCA, 872 for Carson Kelly, 889 for Michael Busch. And then Dansby Swanson still is 715. So they're still getting it done, right? Like, it was a bad series. And I agree. I think they play that series again, it goes very differently. I think if they play that series with Shohei Imanaga as one of your pitching matchups, if this is a postseason series, I think it goes differently. Yeah. They got the advantage of they saw the Cubs' 2 youngest pitchers, and quite frankly, Horton struggled a little bit, but Ben Brown was really, really good. But you saw what happens when Jameson Taillon takes the bump. You don't think Matthew Boyd wouldn't want to stick it up the Tiger's ass?
Oh yeah.
After all these years, just because he can. I think there's a lot to be said about what could have gone differently. Tyler, a couple of really, really, really good comments over the course of the show as well. Scott saying a little bit earlier, those 12U umps will not be there in the World Series. A couple other things as well. Break even Tom, 16-0, taking someone new to a game, calling you boys out. Who's next? That's awesome. That's the fact that you took in 16 different people to a game is even cooler. I mean, that's a lot of people going to a lot of baseball and getting to have some cool
what he's saying is he needs to be going to, I guess, every game for the rest of the season with somebody new.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that's what I heard. Maybe that's just gonna be the new segment. People you can sign up and win to be Will's guest to the game. And then you join him for every game over the course of the season. Also here, Jamo's first start in his last 8 where he didn't give up a home run. 6-3, 354 innings eater, saves the bullpen. Absolutely. All the stuff that we were talking about as well.
And it feels like most of the home runs he's given up this year too have luckily been solo shots too. I don't know the exact number, but it feels like just from the eyeball test, he does give up home runs. It just feels like that most of them have been solo shots.
I agree. He doesn't really give up the big inning a lot.
No.
He'll give up one here or there. Maybe it's a 2-run shot, but like he doesn't make a ton of mistakes. And speaking of pitch selections, breaking time, horrible pitch selection. Torque can't hit spin. 100% true. That was a bad pitch. It was 98, dead red, right in Torkelson's swing path. So yeah, maybe not a great one there from Kelly when it's all said and done. Tyler, I've got some additional thoughts on this series, and it's going to venture us a little bit away from the narrative. But the first one is something that we kind of talked about a little bit. We talked a little bit about the umpire stuff that happened today, right? Nico Horner tossed from the game, as is Craig Counsell on Sunday. And
boy, real quick, he really gave that umpire a mouthful. Like, my gosh. He told him, Nico, gosh, go home and clean your mouth out with soap, young man. My goodness. You should be ashamed.
If anybody saw the actual interaction, Marquis released with some enhanced audio, you can kind of hear it. It says, "You're having a rough day," and tosses him immediately. And he goes, "I said you're having a rough day." And then he looks at Counsell like confused. He's like, "I told him he was having a rough day." And Counsell goes, "Are you kidding me? Really?" It was bad all around and not great at all. Thank you, Triple R Bail Bonds. You're a real MVP. Says hashtag Go Cubs Go. Joining us in the comment section here. And Will says he heard every word that was said. He was first row behind home plate. Yeah, it wasn't it was kind of a soft call. And Tyler, the take I have on this that I want to get your opinions on, and obviously your reaction to everything that occurred. This is my take when it comes to the umpires in Major League Baseball, right? We're hearing a lot about the ABS system coming to play next year. People want robo-umps. This has been a thing for years. I said, if you want to still be a part of the game, these umpires, right? They want to be a part of the game. They want to keep that human element at the calling balls and strikes. If that's the case, you have to take some ownership and be able to take some shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's kind of you're in a place of judgment. You're going to get criticism. You got to kind of be able to take it. If you're going to be a part of the game, you got to be able to take it. And I think, quite frankly, Tyler, at least just from watching, I love anything that's mic'd up and inside access. Getting to hear some of those conversations that umps will have with managers and stuff. I think of the one with the New York Mets.
Oh, we're in the what's the famous line? We're in the jackpot. We're in the jackpot now, or something, because he's screaming at
screaming at him.
Our ass is in the jackpot.
That interaction, there's an art to doing it. Like there's an art to being an umpire, because you got to be able to manage tempers and you got to be able to command a little bit of respect. And I think that's something that these guys aren't willing to do. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be questioned, and they're not willing to. You heard, what was it on? I think it was on Saturday, was it? For the Cubs, where they were chirping the ump, and he was like, "Hey, I got to be better. That's on me." Okay. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. Like, if you're going to still be a part of the game, be a part of the game in the sense of being the one that you're managing temperatures, and you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to take ownership. This is my strike zone." Not just, I'm here because the league pays me and I don't want you to criticize me, so fuck you and get out of here.
Yeah.
It's soft. And that if umpires are gonna act that way, Tyler, quite frankly, then I want robo umps. Yeah. But if you're gonna take ownership of the position, you're gonna take ownership of being an umpire and command a little bit of respect from these guys and be willing to take ownership, because that's how you command respect. Hey, that was on me. That was bad. That's not gonna happen again, Craig. Okay. Yeah. Especially when you come through and you are better then. But if you can't handle the heat, man, get out of the kitchen. And in this case, if you can't handle being an umpire, then you're going to get replaced. Your whole position will get replaced if it keeps up.
You know what I want, just to add on to that, you know what I want to see? And I don't understand why this has never happened in at least none of the main, like the big sports. Why aren't umpires interviewed after the games?
That would be electric.
You know what I mean? Like, why you made this ass call or whatever it was, just anything like, Why aren't they interviewed? They're getting paid by the league. They're some of them are obviously making themselves a part of the game as much as the players do. Insert the guy today. Why don't they get to have to sit down at, post game and answer questions from the media? I forget the guy's name. It's like, so what was that? Was there something that led to you just like we've got the video here that he just said this?
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else that caused you to, just any, why has that never been a thing? Because I feel like that's just, and if they feel like, maybe there was something that was said that nobody else caught before the game or during the game that no one else caught that umpire heard, he could say, hey, well, it's almost like their chance to tell their side of the story as well.
Yeah. And you know what? I think, Tyler, that you just came up with a content idea for Major League Baseball, and they should compensate you fairly for it. Because I think that you want to grow the game and grow baseball, make that a daily YouTube post, and it's just the interview with the umpire after the game, and do it in like a press format. You don't even have to do it in like a closed room, creepy setting. Just do it like a sideline reporter. They come over, hey, so and so, because we have the umpire scorecards now. You have the numbers,
and those are pretty those come out pretty fast, do they not?
Yeah, absolutely.
So couldn't it be one of those things where like you're sitting in front of your boss's office and it's like, all right, well, here's your here's your test, here's what you got right, here's what you got wrong. Let's talk about it, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like because it's the same thing with the players right after the game. Like tonight. Right. Tonight, there's I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but the finals are tonight. After that game, no matter who wins or who loses, especially whoever loses, they're going to sit on that podium and they're going to say, you such and such, you was 3 of 32 from the 3-point line and blah, blah, blah. Like basically telling you how much you sucked and you have to sit there and answer for it. The players have to do that. And in the same token, they get told, they get asked questions when after games that they do well with. Hey, you were 9 for 10 from this and blah, blah, blah. Like, what can you say about that? And they, so it's both sides of it. And I just don't get why in the world that the umpires, why they get like this protective just shield behind, to hide behind. It makes no sense. It really doesn't.
Yeah. And I think too, again, I think fans would have a lot more respect for umpires.
Yeah.
If they heard their side of the story. Like, I think this could be good for umpires, believe it or not. Like, I think there's a lot of people that be like,
Joe West.
they're gonna get like hate mail and things like that. It's like, no, but if you can air out your side of why you called something the way you did, it's gonna go well. Joey says it here in the comments. He says he loves the idea. What did you see on that player? What happened to make you eject Nico? And just get his honest opinion. And these guys can talk politically if they have to. Hey, I just didn't like his tone, and I'll be honest with you. It was a bit of a rough day calling balls and strikes. Maybe, something was bad or whatever. I'm not making excuses. I'm just calling it how it is. I didn't want to deal with it, especially. And maybe, what he might say there? Hey, the Cubs were both benches were chirping our staff all weekend. So I wasn't putting up with it by day 3.
Yeah.
You're going to come charging at us. We're going to toss you and say, hey, you settle down and take it easy now because you've been on our ass all day too.
Yeah.
Like Christopher says it here. Most umpires are really good. And I think you're going to get a lot more just respect for the position. So that way, when there are bad ones, though, they can be held accountable. I don't think that's bad for the game. In fact, I think that's great for the game.
Could you imagine Joe West could you imagine Angel Hernandez? Could you imagine the epic clips that we would get from Angel Hernandez if you could interview umpires and Joe West as well? Just so Joe West at his locker, like changing, probably ripping cigs or has like a beer next to, just doesn't give, two shits what this guy's about to ask him. He's going to say whatever the hell he wants to say. Like that would be electric.
And it would be so good for baseball.
Yeah.
It'd be so good for baseball. Like you want to be a part of the game, be a part of the game. Like let's get some personality behind the position, right? Like let's make it not so one-sided. And I'm telling you, man. I think it could be great. Joey was also saying he had a bad umpire today at his own game. So we've got some strong opinions toward umpires. It was a rough weekend. It sounds like on multiple fronts. Tyler, I have another take here that I wanted to get to with you to kind of swivel gears here a little bit.
Real quick, we got to
Sure.
give a big thanks to Tom as well, or to Will. Sorry, our guy, Break Even Tom.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. He says, fuck St. Louis and fuck the Cardinals. Always. FTC. All the time. But, Tyler, I sit here after this series now, and I see the update, and I know Will dropped that a little bit earlier, so we'll bring it up for everybody watching at home, just so everybody can remember. Porter Hodge threw today. Bullpen. Seemed like it was a positive feedback from that. Shota also threw and is going to throw in an Arizona game on Monday. So when most people are probably listening to the show, especially if you listen to us on podcast, he was asking what happens when Shota and Hodge come back, who gets DFA'd or sent back to Iowa. There's two questions that come with that. Who gets booted out of the rotation for Shota? And if you asked me a week ago, my answer was Colin Ray. And I think just because teams have kind of started to figure him out a little bit.
They have a little bit. Even though I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but I think after this weekend now, I think there's an argument to be made for Cade Horton.
Yeah.
What do you think on that front? And what do you think happens with the rest of the roster? Like, who do you move out of that bullpen right now? Because everybody's pitching well.
The bigger, I feel like that's the bigger question is the bullpen itself, because the bullpen has been so electric. As far as between Colin Ray and Hodge, I'm sure you could probably say Hodge just because he has, they can always say, well, he has more options. But I feel like these next two outings for both of them is almost going to be like their almost like their tryout for the fifth spot, is it? Maybe. I mean, because again, you can argue Ray has had some good outings. I mean, just look at the Dodgers outing and most of his outings to start the season. I know Cincinnati, good God, they must have Cincinnati they have something on Colin Ray, because they just, he can't get anybody. They crush him. But and on that same token, Cade Horton, you could argue, well, the Tigers was the first team he's really at. It's kind of easy when you're facing the White Sox and the Marlins and the Rockies and the Nationals. Okay, I get that, but I feel like this next and Ray is Ray going to be in the same boat as? Is he going to be a like the guy that comes in after an opener now? Is he going to be an opener start now? And when I say opener start,
like a long reliever.
Yeah. Is he going to be the long guy on an opener start? Because I mean, it's worked these two times they did it with Drew Pomeranz, but I mean, you can't do that all year, right?
No,
there's no way.
I think they've done it recently just to give certain starters a good look, and maybe it's just a little easier. Like I think it kind of helped Ben Brown a little bit. Kind of settle down and get into a groove. And he seemed to have found something. And I think it also, maybe it benefited Colin Ray last time out. Obviously, now he's going to start this time. So for anybody that's keeping track at home for the upcoming starts, we'll remind you again. But Boyd, Ray, Brown are your three against the Phillies this week. Let's see what Colin Ray is. And, Will's saying here that he thinks Ray is the one out of the rotation. And then he says Cabrera and Brazier are the two out of the bullpen. But even like Brazier and Cabrera have largely been good too. Like it's a tough question. I could see a world where they totally just DFA Cabrera because they essentially signed him for nothing. I could see a world where that happens. That doesn't, to me, feel like out of the question. But even then, right? Because like when Hodge comes back, and then if you move Ray to the bullpen, you got to clear another spot. You can't get rid of Chris Flexen.
And hey, here's another question too, and I think we know the answer just because of how it's been so far. Porter Hodge, he's not when he eventually comes back. The closer spot isn't his anymore.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to. I knew I had a feeling most people would say that, but I mean, sorry, man. Palencia took the opportunity and he has just
Run with it.
he's run with it. You can't
Yeah.
touch that spot right now with him. You can't do it.
Could I stir the pot a little bit and suggest that maybe Hodge goes back to Iowa first?
Yeah. Yes, because I'm glad you asked that, Ron, because I was actually just thinking the same thing. Like Porter
He's had some rough outings
he's
this
had
year. He
some
wasn't
rough
perfect.
outings, and he may, who knows, he may still have some stuff to figure out. So maybe he does come, or maybe he figures it out in Iowa. For maybe it's not just a thing of, all right, I'm good, I'm back now. Like maybe
Yeah.
why hell, here's another, why even bother trying to bring him up right now if the bullpen right now has arguably been the best it's ever been all season without Porter Hodge? And I'm not saying that Porter Hodge doesn't deserve to be in this bullpen. I'm not saying that at all, but why mess with that? Why mess with one of the best things going for your team right now?
Yeah.
If arguably not the best thing going for your team right now.
It's a very fair question. And it's going to be interesting. I that is the one thing that I'm really looking forward to right now, because those are the two guys.
It's a good quote unquote problem to have.
Sure.
At least with the bullpen. Now the rotation may be a little, I don't know. I guess it just depends on these next couple outings for both Ray and Horton.
Yeah.
And I mean, hell, what's crazy is even before, not to keep rambling, but before Ben Brown's start today, and who was his last outing against?
Ben Brown pitched against the Tigers.
I mean, before the Tigers.
Oh, hell.
There was
Reds,
conversations.
wasn't it? Cincinnati.
It may have been Cincinnati,
because that was
there
the
was
opener.
Conversations of Ben Brown going to the bullpen before today, and here's the thing: who's to say? And I hope to God this isn't the case, but who's to say his next outing isn't one of those 4 innings, 5 runs, one of those type things where he's done throw 90 pitches in the 4th inning, and then we're sitting here screaming, get Ben Brown out of the rotation, blah blah blah. He needs to be a bullpen arm. So yeah, it's like I said, he did good today. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Ben Brown, go to the bullpen. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying it's something that it's just another conversation piece we could have, depending on how these next 1 to 2 weeks go.
Yep. A lot of hard decisions to have, but again, it's a good problem when you got hard decisions at hand. Break even Tom, can we give my guy Brad Keller some love? Brad Keller gets a lot of love. I saw Brad Keller extend Brad Keller signs.
Yeah,
were
electric.
out at Wrigley Field in that against the Reds in that series. It'll be something to keep an eye on. Darren says here, if Hodge comes back strong, he can set up or pitch the 9th if Palencia pitched the day before. Interesting point. Fair point. But again, who knows? They got tough decisions to make when it's all said and done. That will be something interesting to keep an eye on. Tyler, the other question I had for you, this was the one I was keeping away. I didn't tell you anything about it. Not even the premise of what it means.
Was this the one inspired by the missus?
This was inspired by my fiance, yes. So Katie inspired this one here tonight. I asked her before we were getting set up to jump on with you. I looked at her and I said, Cubs thoughts, hit me with it. What you got? She said, I don't think Ian Happ should be the leadoff hitter right now. I think they need to switch something up. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's a spicy question that I'm going to say for the show then. Inspiration, Tyler. I want to hear from you because I have her answer written down. I'll share it, but I want to hear just raw reaction from you. If you were to move Ian Happ out of the leadoff spot, A, would you, first off? And B, if you would, who would you replace him with?
I know his numbers haven't been up to par yet with Ian Happ.
Mm-hmm.
I do like his ability just to see a lot of pitches. If I had to take Ian Happ out of the starting, or as far as out of the leadoff spot, I don't like it because I think Hap's the player that I feel like he'll figure it out. But if I had to take him out, I mean, is it not Nico?
Interesting.
Just because I know he hasn't. I mean, he's the type of guy that he's always been known for the contact.
Sure.
But yeah, who else other? I mean, if I had to take Hap out of the spot, who do you think?
So I was intrigued by this because I was like, oh. So I asked Katie. I wanted her thoughts first. I was like, what would you do? And I just started, throwing details out there. And I kind of followed up with questions. And she goes, because she's like, because I was like, the offense really wasn't great this weekend. We were talking about it earlier. And we talked about it here tonight. I don't think this needs to necessarily be in a way of it's for the rest of the season, but sometimes you need to jumpstart shit. And maybe that's a way to jumpstart it a little bit. Just give a different look. Katie said maybe PCA for a few games, just with the spark nature while you have a cold offense to get things going. I think the most interesting part is she wouldn't mind seeing Ian Happ in the 3-hole and just trying to give a different look to the lineup if they were to shuffle things around. And I this got me thinking, Tyler, especially because we've got some comments from a bit earlier. Quit hitting Carson Kelly ahead of Bush. Kelly is stone cold. Hank followed that up. Kelly's got 460 OPS since May 9th, coming back down to earth. So in the event of you got guys regressing a little bit, maybe from their hot starts, you have your beef in the lineup that is very clearly very good. Ian Happ is a professional hitter. He can hit anywhere in the lineup.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the long term, Happ is still the guy I want up there because of his approach. I think an interesting name is certainly Matt Shaw, as indicated here from Break Even Tom in the comment section. He does work counts. His OPP is in a pretty good spot. He says close to 380 since he's been called back up. He's been seeing a lot of things, and this is 100% true as well. Happ was really good when he was in the 5-hole. He really started to slug more when he was sitting down lower in the lineup. So that was kind of where I was like, well, I like Ian Happ's approach, but maybe you get a spark plug up there in PCA. Maybe Nico Horner just gets a little bit of a different look. He's been hitting close to 300 at times this year. Maybe he can get some more of those looks up there. Maybe it is just, even if it's a few games. Do you remember, Tyler, the fun run of Anthony Rizzo, the leadoff hitter?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Those were the days, Ron.
It was fun.
It really was.
It was unconventional, but it was fun, and it gave a different look to the lineup, and it got the team going at times when the leadoff hitter was kind of in flux. And now, granted, I think they have more guys on this team that could lead off as better leadoff hitters than those Cubs teams in the way they were built. But just the sense of sometimes you can throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into the lineup if you need to get things flowing again. They had a relatively down series here. The Washington series was a little up and down overall, but they were still strong. But they were playing a worse team than the Detroit Tigers, for example. And you got another one, a good team coming up here on the schedule in the Philadelphia Phillies. Why not just
another potential playoff matchup?
Yeah, another potential playoff matchup. Exactly. Give Tucker a spot start at leadoff. Yeah. Again, just give a weird little look. See what happens, man. It might just ignite everything and let things go off. Darren says here, this doesn't help. Nico could be great number 2 with Tucker 3, say on the cleanup spot, PCA 5th, where he'd be in the thick of it if a hot first inning or batting first and second in the second inning. If not, there's a lot of there's 100,000 different ways you could skin a cat in this.
When it comes to, just speaking of Seiya real quick, when it comes to Seiya, I like, you could almost argue I like Seiya in a spot more than anybody else when it comes with runners on base. Mm-hmm. I would argue that I would take Seiya over anybody in the lineup right now with runners on base. So basically, where I would want Seiya in the spot where he could drive the most runs that he possibly can, because he has been a freaking RBI machine when he's had his chances.
That's where I think he really fits well in either the 3 or 4 spot.
Yeah, has to. Yeah.
I think there's some fun things they can do with this lineup. And again, it was one series. They were a little down. They couldn't get the big hit. It was selective offense, especially in the sense of the home runs via solo shots on Saturday. It's just something interesting. I'm certainly keep an eye on.
It is, yeah.
Maybe there is a little need for a spark and change things up because this has largely been the same lineup most of the year. There's been little wrinkles at times when Hap was hurt, for example, or just on certain days where Craig thinks they need to switch things up. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Craig switch things up a little bit and just,
No,
give
it
a
wouldn't surprise me
give a
at all.
look with something different. So it'll be interesting to see there. Tyler, I have nothing else about this Tiger series, but we do have a Philly series that we can start talking about here. But I do want to give you the floor. Anything that we missed that you want to discuss from the Tiger series?
As far as the Tiger series, no. I mean, I will say that just to go back to that Friday game one more time. I also look at it this way when we talk about how if we could replay the series again, we also can't forget that Detroit, that game on Friday, they played defense out of their you-know-whats because there were some, I mean, really, really great plays from Detroit's side that completely, you could argue that completely saved the game for them. So, just don't let this series get you down. Yeah, it sucks losing a series, especially when you've been used to winning our last 7, 8.
Something like that. I think
get
it's
it.
7 in a row.
I get it. It does suck losing series, but don't get down on this one. I mean, you just rebound and let's get Philly. Let's get Philly starting tomorrow.
Indeed. Let's get Philly. So let's get to Philly. This is a 3-game set. This will conclude the road trip for the Cubs. They will be home starting on Thursday. It's a 4-game series with the Pirates at Wrigley Field, a 7:05 game on Thursday. 1:20 starts across the weekend with an off day on Monday. So there is a break day in the horizon here, but you got one more trip here on the road. 2 5:45 start times on Monday and Tuesday. The boys will be back with you on Tuesday after that game. And then Wednesday is an early getaway day game, a 12:05 local time start as the Cubs make their way back to Chicago from Philadelphia. So, Tyler, some good pitching matchups in this one, too. Boyd will go against Wheeler on Monday, so that's a big one off the rip.
Yeah.
Ray will pitch.
Just as big as the Friday game.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, Wheeler, another Cy Young level pitcher that you'll see again in another series. The youngster Abel will pitch against Ray on Tuesday. He's been really good in his debut and recent appearances since being called up. And then Ben Brown will pitch on Wednesday against Jesus Luzardo, who was really hot to start the year.
Yeah, don't let that 4+ ERA fool you. He had that one I want to say his last outing.
He had like 2 bad outings, and that was about it.
He had a god awful bad outing, but I mean, he's been solid most of the season.
He has. So tough pitching matchups for the Cubs in this one. You're in a tough environment as well in Philadelphia, just like Will was alluding to with how great the environment was in Detroit for what felt like a potential World Series preview. This is certainly an NL playoff potential preview here with the Phillies. So another big series coming up. Again, you get some relief. You got the Pirates. You got a day off. Milwaukee and Seattle are the other 2 teams on the homestand then afterwards.
I will say as far as relief, though, just talking with this. Okay. And just starting with the Philly series real quick. This is an important week for this team. And I want to say we'll go back to Friday. It started on Friday with Skubal or Skubal, however you want to say his name. Monday, you get Zach Wheeler. And if the Cubs want to be one of those teams that we talk about as far as, one of the heavy hitters in the NL, you've got to win series against teams like Philadelphia. You've got to beat pitchers like a Zach Wheeler. And just to continue with the week, yeah, you got Pittsburgh coming in this week later, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But one of those games, you're going to see Paul Skeens.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see Paul Skeens. So if you really want to be that team that we've talked about so far this year with just being one of the heavy hitters in the NL, you've gotta beat good pitchers when you have the opportunities. And Monday's just gonna be another opportunity to do that in Zach Wheeler.
Indeed. A good thought here as well from Break Even Tom. Phillies are going to be pissed after being swept by the Pirates. They want to win some games. They need to win some games. It'll be Skeens on Friday.
Yeah,
In
because I want to say
relation to that point.
Skeens pitched today, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I want to say he lowered his ERA to sub-2. So big week this week. Big week.
Big week indeed. And maybe the Cubs caught a break with Bryce Harper being on the IL. That's certainly one less bat. But, guys like Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos are still there, and it's still a really good ball club in Philly.
Oh, yeah. They're still – and you could argue that Bryce Harper, yeah, he's having a solid season, but not your typical Bryce Harper season that you're used to seeing. And the Phillies are just they're a winning baseball club. They know how to win. So with or without Bryce Harper, it's still going to be a tough matchup.
It'll be red pinstripes versus blue pinstripes, and we'll see who comes out victorious for the Cubbies. So again, that starts Monday night. That's a 5:45 start time against the Fightin' Phils in Philadelphia. Tyler, I don't have much else. I will once again give you an opportunity to anything else on your mind before we close this thing down.
Well, just as far as the little victory pregame thing, just hey, Monday capitalize on the opportunities with Zach Wheeler because like guys like Scooball showed, you're not going to get many chances to take advantage of. So take advantage of the ones when you do get them. Just a couple other little things real quick. Corbin Burns sucks to see out for the rest of the season with Tommy John. He was a guy that, I'll be honest, I'll raise my hand. I was screaming for that guy for the Cubs to sign. And boy, imagine, and I'm not rubbing this into D-backs fans' faces because you never want to see anybody get hurt. It's just one of those things you sit back and just imagine what if, and who knows, maybe, and you guys talked about it at the end of last year as far as like how he was like regressing, and who knows, maybe this was something that started last year or something. I don't know. I have no idea, but it just makes you wonder. So thoughts are with him because man, that sucks. Especially knowing that it's probably not going to be till after the All-Star break next year, maybe, as far as the return of Corbin Burns. And also shout out to Cubs relief pitcher legend, Craig Kimbrell. The guy got signed by Atlanta the other day, had one outing, actually did pretty good against San Francisco, had a strikeout, picked the guy off, and then got DFA'd the next day. Don't know if he's calling it quits on a career, but if he does, hats off to you, man. Very impressive, very Hall of Fame worthy career. So that's all I really got.
He did have I saw that, and originally I was like, wow, life comes at you fast, like getting DFA. But then you sit back and you listen to people talk about it, and it's like, wait, maybe that was just hey, he's ready to hang it up and wanted to. The Braves wanted to do something cool for him, and they said, we'll bring you in for one, and you'll come out and you'll close it, and then we'll send you to retirement.
He was hitting. I believe the fastball he struck, I don't remember who was facing off the Giants, but I want to say it was like 93. And I want to even say I read somewhere, I wasn't paying close attention, but I want to say that they didn't even give him his original jersey number that he had when he was with the team in the past. I may be wrong on that, but I could have sworn I read that somewhere. But yeah, I'm like you, Ron. It was one of those life comes at you fast because it does. It feels like, I don't want to sound like the old fart, but it really feels like yesterday we were watching him rack up those 40-plus save seasons. And, man. I actually met that guy in Nashville one time on my way to Chicago.
There you go. Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty
at the airport.
Cool. An awesome last point here, I think, from Break Even Tom. Keep losing Braves and tying into Kimbrel as well. And Jed can bring Chris Sale back to Chicago
Man,
on the north
yeah.
side. Maybe.
I don't know. Not the crap on the Braves, man. But gosh, like, what's going on with those guys? And yeah, I'm kind of. I want to say me and Will talked about that when we were in Cincinnati. It's just, yeah, Chris Sale would be nice. You just don't know what a team like the Braves with a lineup like that. I just don't know if they would. All it's going to take is, I get it. The next 2 months are crucial, but hell, they could go on a 7-8 game winning streak. In the middle of July, and then it's like, yeah, we've got a chance. And so it's like, why even? Because we got Acuna and Austin Riley and Matt Olson and all these guys and Spencer Strider, who he hasn't looked the best so far. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice, but there's still a lot of time left for that.
There is
to at least get confident into thinking that maybe they can make the playoffs.
Amen to that. I love the creativity of thinking of names already that if they're available, that you absolutely could go get and should get. We just have no idea. It's still way too early. Like, there's only going to be like 6 or 7 teams here in the near future that'll probably be like, yeah, we're waving the white flag. We'll start sending guys.
Speaking of that, you know who me and Will will message each other back and forth, and we were talking about pitchers a few nights ago. Do you know who he said as far as a potential candidate? And he's a guy that I've been really keen on, Ron, for a couple of years, that I ruffled some feathers with. Logan Webb. I don't see it happening, but he said that. I was like, I was like, funny you say that, man, because I pissed off a lot of San Francisco fans one time doing that.
Yes, you did.
They don't like it when you talk about their ace like that.
No, they do not.
Maybe I'll have to bring the article back out and just
stir the pot again.
Just maybe we might have to.
Hey, it'd be tough. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 5 in a row, and they're 10 games above 500. The Giants probably won't sell.
No, I don't. I would love it. I would love him, or even Robbie Ray's been awesome too. But
Robbie Ray.
The Giants they've been a team kind of like the D-backs that have just managed to be there when it's playoff time.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just a well-run organization, man. It's hard to get too mad at them when it's all said and done. Tyler, I really don't have much else. I think this just was a fun series in the sense of, it gave us a potential World Series preview, maybe. It gave us certainly a playoff-like atmosphere. I think that was really good. They really need to take care of business here, I think.
They do.
Just make sure that they get everything done that they need to in Philly. Come back. Take care of business at home, especially against teams that you should beat, the Brewers, the Pirates, even the Mariners. I know they're up there in the AL West, but still a very beatable team for this Cubs team. Make some shit happen, man. Keep having a good month. They did exactly what they needed to do in May. Now keep it up in June. Go into the All-Star break in a really good position.
Yeah.
Because then you can ride that wave of momentum into the trade deadline and beyond, and hopefully build this team into something that could contend when it's all said and done.
For sure.
Jay said here. Oh, sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I'm saying there's nothing like going into the All-Star break knowing that not having that feeling of you have to crawl out of this hole that you've dug yourself in, and you only have this amount of time left. It's
sure.
It's always nicer when you're sitting on top and you're comfortable.
Yeah, you can have a bad week or two and it's okay.
Yeah.
That's I think the key part to that, right? Like, baseball's ebbs and flows. You can have a little bit of a rough late July or early August or something and still be very well in it and taking care of business when it's all said and done. June 17th. Will's looking for 17-0. I've been called out. We shall certainly see. Would be.
I'll say a fun fact real quick. You're talking about June 17th. Our good friend Steve will be at those games. 17th.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, Will, if you're there, I will get you in contact with him because he's a cool guy to sit and watch a game with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Huge Cubs fan and loves talking baseball. This should be a good one. Yeah. They got to take care of business. I'm pretty stoked. Hopefully to get back to Wrigley sooner than later. It feels like forever since I've been there. It's just been like 2 weeks. FTP and FTC, the team in St. Louis, lost today. Yes, they did. It's always good to see. Tyler, before we get out here, as always, we want to remind everybody Cubs on Tap, 1 or 2 shows here at the On Tap Sports Network. Check out our friends over at the Dingers Podcast. It's at Dinger Cubs on the socials. Be sure to follow us as well at Cubbies on Tap on the socials. You know where to find me and Tyler and the rest of the gang. Be sure to give everybody some love when it's all said and done. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, we got it all here for you. The On Tap Sports Network, and yes, Cubs fans, you got friends that like the Southsiders, so do we. Hey, their Southsiders have been playing a little bit better ball lately. They were just live tonight as well over at Sox on Tap. You send your friends and our friends, they can be friends over at Sox on Tap. Once again, on tapsportsnet.com and at On Tap Sportsnet. You know, Tap Sportsnet, go and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Tyler, I have nothing else to say other than we get out here the only way to know how it comes on tap.
I never get tired of saying it, Ron, but F the Cardinals every day.
Every day, twice on
24/7. Yeah.
And let's go Cubs.
Let's do it. Let's go Cubs.